Hi, this is Mrs. Frank again. I'm talking to you about how to do some more of the word problems. I hope that so far you've been doing a good job with these and that you've been making sure that you're watching the video after you've attempted the problem. If you've not attempted the worksheet that starts with Nancy's high school played 869 football games this year, please turn off this recording, go back and do the worksheet. If you get stuck, you can watch the video to see how to do the problems. But I really want you to be able to watch me do these problems to kind of get an idea of what is the mindset that you're going through when you're working these problems. How do you speak the language of Mathanese? So let's look a little more closely at the first problem. It says Nancy's high school played 869 football games this year. She attended 563 games. How many football games did Nancy miss? So we need to look and see what is the pertinent information. We have that there were 869 games this year. There are that many games this year, and that Nancy attended 563. So we know that this number at the top was our total. This is the number that Nancy attended, and we need to figure out how many Nancy missed. We know that the total of the football games is going to be the number that Nancy attended plus what Nancy missed. So what we need to do is figure out what number we could add to 563 to get 869. Or if you remember what you know about fact families, we could simply subtract 800, take 863 and subtract 869, and subtract 563. So our answer to problem number 1, 9 minus 3 is 6, 6 minus 6 is 0, 8 minus 5 is 3, is that Nancy missed 306 games. If you had a problem with that one, make sure you go onto the forum and ask me a question so that I can help you. Our second problem says that Sally has 101 books and she has read 8 of them. Keith has 121 books. How many books do they have together? Now in this problem, they've given you some extra information that she has read 8 of the books. We really don't care how many books she has read. We just want to know how many books do Sally and Keith have together. If you remember from the first worksheet in the first introduction video, whenever we said we're putting them together, we are adding. It wouldn't make sense to subtract because when we subtract, you get a smaller answer. So we need to add the number of books that Sally had. Sally had 101. And the number of books that Keith had. He had 121. And we're adding and we get 222 books. If you have a question, please go to the forum. Let's look at problem number 3. There are 119 maple trees and 122 pine trees currently in the park. Park workers will plant 117 more maple trees today. How many maple trees will the park have when the workers are finished? Remember, here again, we need to look and see, is there extra information? And yes, there is. We're not even concerned with the number of pine trees. We're looking just at the maple trees. So if they had 119 and then they plant more, how many will they have all together when they are finished? Again, we are adding. So for problem number 3, we would add the 119 that they had to the 117 that they're going to plant. 9 plus 7 is 16. Carry the 1. 1 plus 1 plus 1 is 3. So they will have 236 maple trees when the workers are finished. If you have a question, ask me on forum. Number 4. Sam found 973 seashells and 115 starfish on the beach. He gave 222 of the seashells to Melanie. How many seashells does Sam have now? Again, ask yourself, is there extra information? And in this case again, your answer would be yes. Even though Sam found 115 starfish, we don't really care about those starfish. We are only looking at seashells. So we know that at the beginning, before he gave any away, he had 973, but he gave away 222. So we're going to take that 973, we're going to subtract the 222 because adding would give us a number that was larger. If he's giving them away, it makes no sense to add. When they give them away, then we need to get a smaller number. We need to subtract. 3 minus 2 is 1, 7 minus 2 is 5, 9 minus 2 is 7. So Sam has 751 seashells left. Let's look at problem number 5. Keith picked 102 pears and Sandy picked 134 pears. Benny picked 130 plums. How many pears were picked in total? Again, ask yourself, is there extra information? And in this case, there is. We don't really care about the plums that were picked by Benny. So we're just going to add the two numbers for the pears, the 102 and the 134. So we have 102 plus 134. 2 plus 4 is 6, 0 plus 3 is 3, 1 plus 1 is 1, and this was problem number 5. So there were 236 pears. Let's look at problem number 6. Benny has 826 baseball cards. Jessica bought 287 of Benny's baseball cards. How many baseball cards does Benny have now? Again, here we're going to ask, is there extra information? No, there isn't, because in both cases we're talking about baseball cards and we are looking to see how many baseball cards. If Jessica bought baseball cards, that means some were taken away from the collection that Benny originally had. So we're going to take that 826 and we are going to subtract 287 because this is going to tell us how many he has left. So we take 826, we subtract 287. 6 minus 7, remember when we subtract, you cannot subtract and have a larger number on the bottom. It's not 7 minus 6 is 1. We're subtracting, so we need to go next door and borrow. 16 minus 9 is 7. 1 minus 8, we can't do that. We go next door and borrow. 11 minus 8 is 3. 7 minus 2 is 5. So he has 539 baseball cards left after he sells 287 of them to his friend Jessica. Number 7, there are 137 erasers in the drawer. Sandy placed 113 more erasers in the drawer. How many erasers are there now in all? And again, we look, is there extra information? No, erasers, erasers, erasers. All of this information is pertinent. Would we be subtracting? Let's see. Does that make sense? There were 137 and Sandy placed 113 more erasers in the drawer. So we know that there are more erasers in the drawer, so we will be adding for that. So for number 7, we're going to take that 137. We're going to add 113. 7 plus 3 is 10. 1 plus 3 plus 1 is 5. 1 plus 1 is 2. So there are now 250 erasers in the drawer. Let's look at worksheet number 8, problem number 8. Sally grew 105 carrots and 117 turnips. Fred grew 125 carrots. How many carrots did they grow in all? We don't care about turnips, so we're going to ignore those 117 turnips. We're going to see how much they grew in all. That tells us we are adding. So we will add the 105 and the 125. 105 plus 125. 5 plus 5 is 10. Carry the 1. 1 plus 0 plus 2 is 3. 1 plus 1 is 2. So there were 230 carrots. Let's look at problem number 9. Tim had 642 nickels in his bank. He spent 133 of his nickels. How many nickels does he have now? So here we need to use our knowledge of the English language that he spent nickels. We know that when you spend nickels, you've given them to somebody else. You no longer have them in your possession. Since we no longer have them in our possession, that means we have to subtract those 133 nickels from the 642 nickels that Timmy had in his bank. So we're going to take 642. Let me rewrite that. Again, it's important that you always check to make sure you're writing the problem correctly. We're going to subtract 133. 2 minus 3, you can't do that. We borrow. 12 minus 3 is 9. 3 minus 3 is 0. 6 minus 1 is 5. So he had 509 nickels. And our last problem has to do with Mike and Benny. Mike had 822 yellow balloons. He gave Benny 316 of the balloons. How many yellow balloons does he now have? Use your knowledge of the English language. If he gives away balloons, they are subtracted from his total. So we are going to say we had 822. We're going to subtract the 316 that Benny was given by Mike. 2 minus 6, can't do it. Go next door and borrow. 12 minus 6 is 6. 1 minus 1 is 0. 8 minus 3 is 5. So Mike has 506 yellow balloons. If you had any questions with any of these, again, make sure you talk to me in forum. These were all addition and subtraction problems. I hope you did well with them. I will talk to you during our next webcast, and good luck.